Back here on SportsLine talking about Vanderbilt's first ever baseball national championship. The Commodores beating Virginia 2-1 in the College World Series finals last week in Omaha. We were there covering it pitch to pitch at the College World Series. A monumental moment for this program and for head coach Tim Corbin because of everything that's gone into this. He tells the story of his first game ever coaching at Vanderbilt, one of those February days at Hawkins Field. I think they were playing Tennessee Tech, as he tells it. And he gets ready for this game. It's a late afternoon game. And his wife, Maggie, shows up at the ballpark right when he told her first pitch was going to be. And she walked up and said, "Tim, I thought you said the game started at 4 o'clock. There's nobody here." And he said, "Maggie, the game does start at 4 o'clock, and there is nobody here." And she joked back to him, "Do you want to go back to Clemson yet?" That was the state of Vanderbilt baseball when Tim Corbin took over back in 2003. The administration had made a commitment to redo Hawkins Field, to pour money into this program to try to make it competitive. But this was a program that had not had much success in the SEC, had not been an NCAA tournament regular, didn't have a fan base, didn't have a fan following. And you fast forward that to what we saw last week in Omaha and back here in Nashville. Thousands of black and gold fans in Omaha cheering the Commodores on. Watch parties in Nashville, filling up the football stadium, filling up bars around town, coming out for the celebration the next day, 1,000 people strong. That is a remarkable level of growth for a program in just a 10-year period. And the credit there belongs to Tim Corbin, the guy who has come in and pulled up his sleeves and just gone after it, recruiting guys, finding star pitchers, developing players at the college level, and sending them on to big league careers. A few years ago, Vanderbilt set the record for the most players on one roster drafted in one major league draft. They've loaded guys up in the first round. They've got guys in the big league. They've got all-stars in the big leagues. They have developed players in that program, and they've done it the right way. And because of that, they continue to get the next wave of players and build off of what they've done. And that's part of, again, the secret of this is this probably wasn't Vanderbilt's best team start to finish. But there were a bunch of young guys on this team that developed into the role that they had in the postseason throughout the course of the year. And you know what? They're getting better and better players all the time because of the success they've had. The fact that they've had guys like Price and Alvarez and Weathers and Minor and Gray and Garvin and Tony Camp and Westlake. Just go on and on and on down the line. Those guys have now attracted the next wave, and those players are now delivering. And this year, it took them a while to grow up, but those young freshmen, Brian Reynolds, the sophomores, even a guy like John Norwood, who really hadn't had his opportunity at Vanderbilt up until now, stepping up when it matters the most. And that's why it was Vanderbilt dogpiling at the end of the night on Wednesday. After the game, moments after that dogpile, I got a chance to catch up with a pretty emotional Tim Corbin on the field to talk about Vanderbilt's first ever national championship. On the field with national championship head coach Tim Corbin. It's been a grind for 11 years, but how does that new title sound to you?
I mean, it sounds good. You know, I'll go back to the kids again, though. It's just a set of progressions that they stayed with, and the maturity that was developed through the season has certainly put him in this situation, but to compete, to come back from adverse situations throughout the entire playoff situation, and then now is special. They did it. It's those kids.
The people around this country probably counted you guys out after the SEC tournament. How did you go from 1-2 to Hoover to national champions in Omaha?
It took a couple days off and just got our minds right. We rejuvenated ourselves. I just think that the most important muscle you have to condition is the brain, and sometimes it needs a rest too. It pushes the body, and I think we were at a point where we just needed a brain rest. And then when we felt rested, we came back and played good baseball. We knew it was a 5-game winning streak to get to Omaha, and after that it was just a series of games that we had to play well. I just look at those kids with just a lot of fulfillment.
A lot of guts by a lot of different guys, but John Norwood with the game-winning home run in this ballpark. Did you ever think that would happen?
Well, you wonder if you're going to get a big hit, but because I think in this particular situation it had to happen, the pitching was premium, and you don't necessarily think a ball's going to be hit out, and he's man strong. He's one of those kids that if he gets his head out, something can happen, but that's 98 miles an hour. I mean, that's just not your average fastball, and I'm just happy he had that moment, and I'm happy the team had that moment with him.
And lastly, Tim, you've said watching these guys celebrate in Dogpile is like watching your kids open presents on Christmas morning. What's it like when it's a national championship Dogpile? Any different?
Well, I didn't get to see it, but you know, I'll view it several times. I'll probably be in my office and I'll watch it till I start crying and then be by myself. I mean, you know, when you're a coach or a parent, you see your kids, see good things happen to your kids, you're proud and you're just happy for them beyond what you can ever talk about in terms of emotions. So I just treasure the ability to be in this situation with them. I'm thankful.
Congratulations, Tim.
Thanks, Steve.
That right there, that snapshot is why Tim Corbin's a great coach. Goes a lot deeper and a lot farther than just filling out a lineup card and deciding when to make the pitching change. He establishes incredible relationships with these guys, builds an incredible amount of trust with them and them with him. And because of that, they perform over and over and over again. All the stories, you know, a guy like Tyler Beatty, who was a first-round pick out of high school, but wanted to go to Vanderbilt to play for Tim Corbin. And when Beatty had some struggles this year with his command, Beatty had Tim Corbin right behind him. Corbin had his back, stood up for him all the way. And while he wasn't great in the postseason, he did give Vanderbilt some work. Guy like Roe Coleman comes from the inner city of Chicago and wasn't a highly recruited guy. He's 5'5". Doesn't look like a big-time baseball player. But Tim Corbin saw him and he fell in love with the kid, the story of where he'd come from, the inner city of Chicago, tough neighborhoods, tough surroundings, and the way he plays baseball. Hustle, grit, and a pretty darn good ability to hit the fastball. Tim Corbin brings Roe Coleman out of the inner city of Chicago to play at Vanderbilt, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And then in his freshman season, in the bottom of the 9th or 10th inning against Oregon in the regional championship, he calls on Roe Coleman to go pinch hit. A freshman in that spot. But what does Coleman do? He delivers with a walk-off hit for Tim Corbin. John Norwood was a guy who was drafted out of high school, had tons of ability. People thought he was going to be a star in college. Through 2 seasons at Vanderbilt, he could hardly crack the lineup. Big part of that was there were established guys in front of them, but also because Norwood probably hadn't develop the work ethic and some of those things to be as consistent as he needed to be ultimately. Tim Corbin continued to work on him, continued to work with him, continued to build trust both ways in that relationship. Somewhere around mid-year this year, in Norwood's junior season, it just clicked. And down the stretch, Norwood was one of Vanderbilt's most consistent hitters. In the postseason, he was one of the best. In Omaha, he was the best. He was so locked in. I talked to Tim with that after the game on Wednesday night. There were times in that game where he looked at great pitches in bad spots, looked at great pitches, corners, whatever. Could have been strikeout pitches. He looked at them, took a ball, then got a better pitch to hit. 3 hits in that final game, including the walk, including the winner. The 8th inning one that he knew right off his bat in a tough ballpark to hit it that he could leave the yard from. A lot of emotions there after you win a College World Series, maybe even more so when you have the big hit. Here was John Norwood on the field just moments after the celebration caused by his hit in Vanderbilt's first national championship. On the field with the hero of tonight's national championship game, John Norwood. John, you come up to bat 2-2, facing one of the best pitchers in the country. What did you see?
I already saw fastball. I knew he was going to fastball at some point. It's just a matter of just not missing it.
This is a tough park to hit a ball out of. Did you know it was gone?
I had a feeling. I thought I caught it pretty good out front, and once I saw it in the air, I kind of slowed down. But I got to keep running. You never know, hit the ball at the spark.
When Ravenel shuts it down in the 9th inning, you guys dogpile. You've had a few celebrations before, but what's it like when it's a national championship dogpile?
It's unbelievable. Just to make history to the school of Vanderbilt. Just that I know that we'll always remember it as the first.
You guys went to the SEC tournament in Hoover and went 1-2 down there, and I think a lot of people counted you out there. How did you go from that moment to now national champions in the
SEC tournament's tough. Coach said it's even tougher than this at some point. So, we looked at ourselves after the loss in the SEC tournament. We brought ourselves together, had great practices day in, day out, to stay with one another. We're here. We're here and we won it.
First men's national title in Vanderbilt history. What does that mean?
History. That's all there is to it. It's just we're never going to be forgotten.
John Norwood, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
John Norwood's home run will never be forgotten. Just the 3rd home run in the College World Series this year. Could not have come at a bigger time in the 8th inning. And now the entire Vanderbilt team, all a bunch of legends, from Norwood to a guy like Hayden Stone out of the bullpen for their job at Omaha and winning that national championship. Our coverage will continue. Phone lines are open, 737-7767, if you'd like to get in on the discussion. Otherwise, we will move on and hear from some more of the key doors in their run to Omaha and a national championship as we continue on here on SportsLine on News Channel 5+.